Hello everybody, happy 2022, I am back with some more of that good YouTube content that y'all love so much. We are gonna have a ton of fun here in 2022, my friends, with some talks that y'all can look forward to in the not too distant future. But today, I have another response video. Been a while since we had a talk like this, but once again, somebody has to be an asshole. Someone has to piss in my cereal. Somebody has to fart in the sauna. And that somebody is Frosk from G4. Now, how did this person come on my radar, you might ask? Well, let's take it back a bit and talk about G4 for a moment. So back in the day, G4 was like this nerd channel, right? Particularly when it came to things like gaming. And one of the most popular shows that they had on there was X-Play, a show dedicated to all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions. Like before the internet started really popping off with things like YouTube and Twitch, X-Play was one of the many places you would go to see people talking about a particular game. You also had a bunch of other shows on G4 that would talk about games and consoles and stuff, but X-Play was the big one for me. That's what got me watching G4 in the first place. I like watching Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb come on and talk about games and have discussions surrounding the games and stuff like that. It was a nice show. I always like to tune in. But eventually X-Play along with the rest of G4 got scrapped because they wasn't pulling enough ratings to justify the channel. And so that was the end of that. Fast forward to 2022, G4 has come back. And now we have a new X-Play, one that is less about video games and more about having the politically correct opinion. Now I tried to give it a chance. I tried to watch the new X-Play and it just bored the shit out of me. So I went to YouTube to look up some clips of the old X-Play and I'm just like, this isn't boring the shit out of me, so it's not me, it's them. And so it could be a number of factors as to why that is. One, now that the internet is off and popping, there are a lot of people that do what X-Play does just as good if not better. But also this new version of X-Play just doesn't have that same charisma, they don't have that same magic. Like it does feel like it is more about the money as opposed to people actually having passion behind wanting to do this show. And then there's also this host right here, her name is Frosk, and I tried to give her a chance, but she's unfortunately part of the SJW culture that is working its way into everything that we knew and loved and turning it into something just completely abysmal. Which leads us into the present day, where at first she was talking about Red Dead Redemption, which I don't have any problem with that whatsoever, but then she just kind of stops the whole show for the sake of talking about alleged sexism in gaming. And it's just so stunning and so brave what she had to say that they actually clipped it and put it on their YouTube channel and on Twitter and everywhere else, because we really need to fight back against sexism in gaming, people. That is the number one thing that we need to do when it comes to gaming. So next time you pick up a new game for your console, hopefully you'll listen to this epic speech and check your misogyny before you hit start. Because this speech that she gives, it is so revolutionary that it is even better than the speech Martin Luther King gave at the Washington Monument. So let's listen to what she has to say, because the one thing that I love more than gaming is somebody preaching to me about sexism in gaming. It's so stunning and so brave. Take a listen.
I do think that there is a larger discussion about Red Dead Online and that we need to have eventually about game design versus immersive experience and comparing the Red Dead Online multiplayer experience versus the solo player one. But I actually want to talk about something so much more important than Red Dead Online: sexism in gaming.
Excuse me, what?
Every time G4 is brought up in various channels, even in this YouTube channel, we have the chat in front of us, I can see you, without a doubt, there will be backlash because I'm not as bangable as the previous hosts. It's somehow...
Talk to him, Frost!
It has somehow been expected that you can talk about how much you jerked off to women as a compliment.
That
It's
shit
not
weird.
a compliment.
It's weird!
It's dehumanizing and it's weird.
Wait a minute, that's not sexism, the fuck? I thought we were talking about sexism here. Like, I thought we were going to talk about things like, oh, you can't be on my team because you're a girl. Or, hey, you can't play video games because you're a girl. Like, that's blatant sexism when it comes to gaming. But what she's talking about is how people don't find her attractive like they did with somebody like Morgan Webb. Now, one thing I'll say about that is, yes, people do not like change, but that's just how we are as human beings. We prefer things to stay the same. We prefer not lot to get out of our comfort zone. However, if this woman right here, Frosk, was just good at her job, which is simply talking about and reviewing video games, then most people will overlook the fact that she is not Morgan Webb. But instead of having a discussion about a game, she wants to go on this rant about how she's not attractive. And that has absolutely nothing to do with sexism. That's just a fact. She is an unattractive woman. At least I presume that's a woman. Nowadays, you can be an attack helicopter so long as you feel like it, but you know, whatever. And then she goes on again about how people will talk about how they've masturbated to a woman as a compliment, which yes, there are people out there that will do stuff like that and send dick pics and other creepy shit. But even that's not sexism, that's just somebody being a creep or being a troll. That has nothing to do with sexism whatsoever. What sexism is being prejudiced against the opposite sex. But what she just talked about wasn't prejudice against the opposite sex. It was just she's ugly and she doesn't like creepy people. But hey, maybe there's a point to this, so let's keep watching.
Women do not exist to be nice on the eyes for you. Morgan Webb, Olivia Munn did not exist to be nice on the eyes for you.
Hey, she cooking, y'all.
Okay, before I get into the next part about what Frosk is talking about, what is this beta male right here talking about and saying that she's cooking us as though she just dissed out a wicked burn on everybody that's watching? But in reality, she's saying that women weren't made to be attractive, basically, which is false. Women were made to look appealing to men, vice versa for men when it comes to women. It's been that way since biblical times. Like, that's just the natural order of things. Men are going to find women attractive. And while that isn't a woman's only functioning role in society, it is pretty dumb to say that women were not made to be nice on the eyes for you when one of the reasons women were made were to entice men with their beauty, which you have none of, you jealous dumb bitch. But then she also goes on to say that Morgan Webb and Olivia Munn were not made to look nice on the eyes for us. And I'm thinking to myself, are you talking about this Morgan Webb and this Olivia Munn? Oh yeah, they were definitely supposed to negate the male gaze. Like, I definitely didn't think about them any type of way at all. But in all seriousness, Frost does realize that G4 had a male-dominated demographic, and so they constantly brought in hot chicks to appease that demographic, right? Like, G4TV knew what they were doing when they hired these people to come in and do their thing. They knew what they were doing. They knew that they had more people paying attention when they got chicks that came in and looked like this as opposed to chicks that came in and looked like Frost. But it wasn't just the fact that the two of them were hot, they were good at their jobs. Again, something that Frosk is clearly lacking in. And again, she claims that this is sexism to find these women attractive. And I'm just like, how is that sexism? Like, does she realize what the definition of sexism is? Does she not know? Like, if you're gonna get somebody as a host for your show, then at least get somebody who's properly educated, because she just sounds really dumb as fuck. Like, she's claiming that we are objectifying these women, but that's not the case. They're just attractive women. We are men. We know what we like, and we're not going to apologize for it. Or at least we shouldn't apologize for it, I should say, because I know there are some betas out there. Now, it's not like if we met these women in real life, we wouldn't treat them with courtesy and respect. Again, speaking for the most of us. But we're not just going to not have thoughts for the sake of respecting women. It's okay to think thoughts. Everybody thinks thoughts. It's an instinctual thing to do. Just don't have those thoughts entice you to do something or say something unsavory. As long as you have some self-control, you're good to go. But anyway, let's continue with this rant that she's going on about, because it gets stupider from here.
Here at XPlay, our reviews are written and produced by a team of people. There are too many games for one person to shoulder the burden. So we divide and conquer. And when we use language like we or I, that's the reviewer. That's coming from the mouth and experience of the reviewer reading that review.
Okay, that's a completely false statement. Like, there are plenty of YouTubers that will go out and review games all the time, old, new, whatever. So how is it that they can shoulder the burden of reviewing all these games and you guys can't, when you guys have more money and equipment at your disposal than most of the people on this platform do? Now, I mean, if you got somebody who's doing specifically video editing, I can understand that. Or if you don't want the same person reviewing over and over again, I can understand that. Like, have Adam do a review one day and then maybe Frost can do a review another day. That's fine. But don't go acting like it's just too hard for one person to do. One person does it all the time here on YouTube. So quit making fucking excuses. Like, she acts like you need a whole team of people in order to make this possible, and that's not the case. You can have a team if you want a team, but you can also go at it solo. So I mean, if she's saying it's too hard for her, maybe she's in the wrong business. I'm just saying.
Adam will read a script written by the same writer that I will read the other half of the script for, but I'll be the one flamed. And yeah, it also happens to Gerard and TBH, but that doesn't discount the sexism of how it happens to me when it does. Both things can be true, that there is a general hatred of any change that isn't Adam, and that all receive special blame just for being a woman.
Okay, so a couple of things that she said here didn't sit well with me. First of all, she talks about how somebody will write a review and then they will just read the review. I feel like that's Frosk unintentionally exposing X-Play right there, because when we come to certain people to hear their reviews about something, we want to hear their personal opinion about the said thing. So for example, if I'm looking at Angry Joe's video on a video game or something, then I want to hear his opinion about that thing. I don't want to hear somebody else's opinion through his words. But that's what she's basically letting us know, is that we're just hearing somebody else's opinion through the words of somebody like her, for example. And if that's the case, then nobody should be watching you now, because you're letting us know that the opinion that you are giving us on a certain game is not your genuine opinion, it's just a script. So there's absolutely no reason to watch you guys. But she also goes on about how if Adam reads from a script, then everybody loves him, but if she reads from a script, everybody hates her simply because she's a woman. Which again is just a load of bullshit coming out of this lady's mouth. Now people might be more enticed to hear what Adam has to say about a particular video game, since he was one of the original hosts of X-Play. Whereas Frost has not earned her place in X-Play, so people are going to be slow to warm up to her as opposed to Adam, because with Adam, they have a sense of familiarity. So they might be more inclined to hear what he has to say on a particular game as opposed to some newbie who only got hired because she's an activist. And again, what she's saying has absolutely nothing to do about sexism whatsoever. There may have been one or two mean people on the internet that talk about how she looks or whatever, but that's probably just a very small minority of people. Quite a few people I know were excited for G4 to come back up until this point right here, where this bitch got on her soapbox and started raving all this nonsense. But let's continue, shall we?
And I wish I could turn the camera around so that you could see the incredible team that make X-Play. Half of our producers and writers are women. Emily, Abby, Megan, Joe, Jake, Zipper, Gabby. It goes on and on and on. Former writers that are now on ATOS like Vanessa. When you're in our DMs or on those YouTube comments or in Twitch chat right now, those reactionary threads thinking that I'm somehow ruining your current X-Play experience because you can't objectify me how you previously did to Morgan, or that I'm somehow less qualified to speak on something, but you can't quite put your finger on why, even though I'm reading the exact same script as Adam, but you have no problem with me part of it. You're letting your unconscious biases ruin my day and you're gatekeeping the gaming space. So maybe for 2022, we'd be a bit nicer, a bit more self-reflective, and we enjoy the fact that people are working hard to make free content for you.
Okay, now the rest of this right here is just projection. You can tell basically from the start to the finish of her ranting on that she is a very, very insecure person. Like, I don't know if she was bullied back in high school or whatever, or maybe her dad walked out on her when she was young, but this is super unprofessional. And normally this would be grounds for somebody to be terminated or at the very least suspended, because she's bringing her own personal feelings into this show by means of claiming that it's alleged sexism in gaming. Like, the way she talks about sexism, quote unquote, would be like me saying, if you guys don't completely 100% agree with my opinion, don't give me all the likes, all the comments, are not subscribed, and are not following me on every single one of my social medias, then you are completely racist, because there's no way you're gonna follow somebody who's white but not follow somebody who's black. And if that sounded completely stupid to you guys, imagine listening to Fuckleberry Finn right here. But then she gives the piece of resistance, right? Here it is, right here. Are y'all ready for it?
If you don't like it, don't watch it. Peace.
Are you retarded?
If you don't like it, don't watch. Boy, I'm sure that ain't gonna come back to bite him in the ass. Now, for those of y'all that don't know, G4, back when it was alive and well, that was a network that was constantly barely keeping its head above water. It was not doing well for network TV. So the fact that it has a second chance at life here, and you have this really unlikable host who is basically telling your audience to go fuck off, Makes me wonder, why would you bring this back just to kill it again? Seriously, G4 sure just stayed dead. And she is the ultimate proof to that. Also, look at the men that are with her while she's throwing this tantrum. This right here, guys, is what a man looks like when you cut his balls off. Because not one of them has the guts to tell her to shut the fuck up or call her out on her bullshit. Because nothing that she said had anything to do with sexism or gaming at all. It was all about how her feelings are hurt and how she doesn't want people to hurt her feelings. Even though she is on the internet, people are going to talk some smack. And this is a place where either you need to grow some thick skin or get the fuck out. But back to the men, none of them challenged her on her points of view whatsoever. Like, even if they were doing it in a respectful way, I guarantee you she would have broke down and cried if at least one of them had been like, hey, that's not true. Because someone with this level of insecurities should not have the job that they have, but she does have her job because he's surrounded by a bunch of yes men. Like, look at the beta cuckery coming from Adam Sessler. This dude looks like one of those little toy monkeys that bangs the instrument together as they're clapping. That's just how badly his unbinary queen here has him neutered. Like, look guys, I know that everybody's afraid of being labeled toxic nowadays, but men are gonna have to start reclaiming their balls. Stop letting women tell you how to act and start calling women out on their bullshit. Like, just stop apologizing for being a man. Like, guys, there's a difference between being polite and being a complete pussy, like these men are right here. But looking at this, you can tell they are terrified to talk back, even if they wanted to. But guys, for 2022, we're gonna have to bring men back into the fold. Otherwise, females like this are gonna ruin everything that we previously loved. G4 just being the latest casualty. Honestly though, I would have had the utmost respect for this new G4 if any one of the guys sitting next to Frosk had at any point in time just been like, bitch please. But again, nothing but a bunch of ballless fags, every one of them. But let me know what you guys think. Are you guys loving the new G4? Are you loving this new host named Frosk? Or are y'all done with this woke activism bullshit in our culture? As always, support your emperor by leaving a like and clicking subscribe. Also, follow me on these social media platforms. You wouldn't want to be racist now, would you?